We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here for Thursday, February 6th. Yesterday, another positive day, so we can't complain. A 3-2 day here on the channel. A huge cover somehow, some way by the Virginia Military Institute. They were winners for us yesterday. Cal wins at home against NC State. Rutgers doesn't just cover yesterday at home, they win outright, and then two losses in the middle of the day. It is what it is. Cleveland State didn't look great in Highland Heights, Kentucky. And then our other loss, it wasn't great. It was UCF losing at home to Cincinnati. But a 3-2 day, a positive day. We've been on a huge win streak here on the channel, folks. And before we get into our best bets for today, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. We are less than 60 subscribers away from 22,000 here on the channel. So let's make that happen today, and make sure you leave a like while you're at it as well. Also, go make sure to check out our NBA predictions posted later today on the channel, as well as some big games in the association. Lakers, Warriors, going to be talking about those predictions and the trade deadline in a couple hours here on the channel. So make sure to join us for that. And also make sure to go check out our UFC 312 predictions. It is the rematch for the middleweight championship this weekend in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. The champion, Dricus du Plessis, takes on Sean Strickland again in Sydney. All right, on to the first of our 5 best bets for college basketball today. Today's mid-major Thursday. Is that an actual thing? No, I just made that up because, guys, there's other than 2 games, it's all mid-majors today. There's Ohio State and Maryland, which is a big game, obviously. I think Maryland goes into Columbus and wins, but that's not my favorite bet of the day, obviously, so we're not putting it in the video. And the other somewhat big game today is St. Mary's going to San Francisco to take on USF. Again, I think St. Mary's wins. Do they cover 5.5? I think it's tricky, so I left it out of the video. So we're doing all mid-majors today, all small school basketball games, and we're starting off with an early spot here at 3 o'clock as we have the Bryant Bulldogs taking on the Albany Great Danes. I think this is a great spot for Bryant. We get the Bulldogs at minus 10.5. This team is likely going to represent the American East in the NCAA tournament. They are 8-0 this year in conference play and 14-9 with their overall record. But again, an undefeated run so far in the American East after losing their last non-conference game and getting blown out by the Grand Canyon Lopes. They've won 8 in a row, a blowout win over Maine, a 20-point victory over Vermont, a 10-point victory on the road at Albany. Now, again, the spread today is 10.5, but they go to Albany and win the game by 10 points. They beat UMass Lowell by 23 at home. They beat New Hampshire on the road by 19. They beat Benninghampton. I still don't know how to say that school's name. I think I'm right there. They win that game by 14. They go to UMBC, beat them by 6 points. The Retrievers are just this season. Obviously, you remember them for being the first 16 seed to beat a number 1 seed, obviously, when they beat Virginia back in, 18, 19? Oh, I might be wrong in the year. 17, 18. Could be wrong. Anyways, and then a win in their last game over the New Jersey Institute of Technology, winning that game by 22 points. Bryant is by far the best team in the American East, and they blow out pretty much every single team they play. In fact, they've covered this line in every single game they've played at home this year in the American East. Again, the Maine win was by 30 points. The Vermont win was by 20. The UMass Lowell victory was by 23. The Benninghampton game was by 14. They cover this line in pretty much every single game they play, and it's not like Albany's that much of an impressive team. They're not. Guys, the Great Danes are just very mediocre. This is a 3-5 team in the American East this season. You look at what they've done in American East play. They're coming off a 4-point loss at home to Benninghampton. They lose that game by 4. They beat NJIT at home by 6. UMBC comes into town. They lose the game by 5. Another win over Benninghampton on the road. Again, that game against Bryant, they lost by 10. They go to Maine, lose by 21 points. This team hasn't been on the road against a somewhat decent opponent since that loss to Maine, where they lost again by 21. They go to New Hampshire and win. That's not that hard of a task to do. And honestly, Albany just hasn't been on the road that much in American East play. They've had 3 road games, and they've been New Hampshire, Benninghampton, and obviously that game we talked about against Maine. So they haven't really played. The only good team they've played on the road is Maine. I'm not accepting Benninghampton as a good team in this conference. I just don't think they are. So their only somewhat, again, tough game on the road was Maine, and Maine blew them out, beat them by 21 points. I'd expect belt to ass in this game, guys. I don't think it's close. I think this game, guys, there's a chance Bryant's up by 11 points at halftime. I would say there's a very good chance they're up by 11 points at halftime. The Great Danes are led by Amari Marshall. This is a guy who's going to be averaging 13.5. Same can be said about Byron Joshua. Justin Neely will give you 11. DeMar Langford Jr. will give you 11. but the Bulldogs are just the better basketball team, and Bryant's going to have the best player on the court. That is Rafael Pinzan. Pinzan's a guy who gives you 19 points a night, and they've just got a really talented starting lineup. All their guys that play 30-plus minutes are going to contribute and contribute a lot. Earl Timberlake is a guy that's going to average 16 points and 9 rebounds a game and 5 assists. I mean, that is an all-around great player. Timberlake leads the Bulldogs in both rebounds and assists a night. Obviously, Pinzan is their leading point scorer. Then you get Barry Evans, who averages 13 and 7. Connor Withers averages 12 and 6, and then Keyshawn Mitchell, who's their other starter, plays 20 minutes tonight, but will give you 8 and 6. I mean, this is a good Bryant team. They play very solid defense, and they can score again with their guys, Pinzan, Timberlake, Evans. This is an all-around very good basketball team. There's a reason, again, they are undefeated in the American East, and they're at home in this spot. Again, the last time Albany and Bryant played, it was in New York, in Albany, and Bryant won the game by 10 points. I think we get more than a 1-point swing with this game being at Bryant this time around in Smithfield, Rhode Island. To be honest, I didn't even know Bryant was in Rhode Island. Anyways, we like the Bulldogs here at the American East. I think they win this game, and I think they blow the Great Danes out of the building. This is the earliest start game that we get today, 3 p.m. on ESPN+. Got to get an early one in, and I like the Bryant Bulldogs. They play good defense, and they've got better scorers than you, Albany. The Great Danes are kind of limited for what they can do on offense, again, with Marshall, with Justin Neely, Byron Joshua as well. They are very limited. Again, they've got consistent scorers, but you're taking on a team that I think plays the best defense in the conference and has the best offense as well. So it's just rough for anybody to go into Bryant and win. Hell, the Bulldogs haven't lost a game all year long in the American East. And it's not like they have to go to Albany for this one. They get this game at home. I feel more than fine here with the Bryant Bulldogs winning to start off the day and covering as well the 10.5 points. We like Bryant in the opener again to win and cover. Let's go on to our second best bet of the video. And yes, again, it is mid-major Thursday, and it is also low-level basketball Thursday. Yes, we are predicting a Chicago State Cougars game. It's the perfect buy, sell high spot for the Chicago State Cougars. They just won a game. They beat LIU. The Sharks have been so disappointing for me. I thought Long Island was actually not that bad. I thought, oh, maybe this is a team that can maybe find their way into the tournament. It doesn't really look like that right now. That's okay. We just need Mercyhurst to finish the job, okay? It was a good victory for Chicago State in their last game, obviously in NEC play, picking up their third victory in NEC conference play this year. They had one over Wagner and Lemoyne earlier this year, and they find a way to beat Long Island at home by 6 points. Again, this is a Chicago State team that is incredibly low scoring. LIU was a team that beat them at 53-39 earlier in the season. They play their second game, and obviously the Cougars find a way to win by 6 points. That's okay. They're well rested going into this game, but I like the Mercyhurst Lakers here. Guys, the Lakers have won 4 straight games. They beat Wagner at home by 5. They beat Long Island at home by 5. They beat St. Francis, PA by 4, and they show capabilities of winning on the road. Their last game is a win over FDU. They win that game by 7 points, and that's a very impressive victory over a fairly Dickinson team that is 5-3 in conference play this year. Again, it looks like Central Connecticut is going to be the number 1 seed in the NEC tournament. Are they going to win it? I don't know. Again, Central Connecticut looks like the best team in the conference, but who knows? The NEC is one of these weird spots. I mean, the winner of this conference will likely have to play in the first 4 in Dayton for the NCAA tournament, but this could easily be Central Connecticut winning. I could see FDU taking it. Mercyhurst definitely has a more than fair chance to do it. LIU, they can get hot at the right time, and hell, again, Wagner, St. Francis, PA, maybe not, but like there are teams that can win this thing, honestly. It's an open field in the NEC tournament this year come March. But I like the Lakers more than I do Chicago State here. This team's on a 4-game winning streak. They just went on the road to a very good team and beat FDU. And we look at the odds for this game. We're basically almost even here. They are 1.5 point favorites at Chicago State. Just play the money line here. I really like the Lakers. I get it. It would require them to go on the road in back-to-back games and win, but I'm fine with that. If they just went to FDU and won, they should beat a Chicago State team that is 3-20. I don't care, they just won a game. What are the odds Chicago State wins back-to-back basketball games? Incredibly low. Because how have they responded after their victories this season, right? They beat Wagner. They've only won 3 times this year. They go to the road and to Wagner, win their NEC opener. Then they go to Long Island and lose on Long Island 53-39. Their second victory, they beat Lemoyne at home by 16 points. They respond by scoring 48 points against FDU. So again, we talk about the response games. How do they follow up their victories? A 39-point scoring performance on Long Island and a 48-point scoring performance at home against FDU. This team is going to get shut down by the Mercyhurst Lakers, and I don't think Chicago State is capable of putting together 2 back-to-back great games on offense. Chicago State is led by Jalen Forrest. He's their leading scorer with, get this, 11 points a night. It's a scoring by committee type offense, sure. You get Forrest, who averages 11. Gabe Spinelli averages 9. Noble Crawford will give you 9. Troy McCoy Jr. gives you 7. Saxby Sutherland, 6.5. Matthew Robinson, 6. Again, it is an all-around team effort here, but the better team is the Mercyhurst Lakers, and they have 3 scorers who I think are better than any guys Chicago State has. We're talking about Jeff Plantis, who's the best player on the court. He averages 15 points a game for the Lakers. You look at Aiden Reichert, who averages 13, and Bernie Blunt III, who averages 12 points. And you got Shamir Rathan Mays, who's the point guard of this team, who's done a decent job managing the offense this season. I think Mercyhurst is okay in this spot. I really think so. I'm surprised we're getting these odds. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I get it. Chicago State's coming off a victory, but this is the perfect time to sell in Chicago State. If you had any stock on the Cougars, they finally win a game. Let's fade them now. And again, we were wrong. I'll be honest. We had LIU in that last game. That's okay. Mercyhurst, again, they will finish the job this time. They will. Mercyhurst should be okay. They're going into the Dante Jones Convocation Center. I probably butchered that. English is hard sometimes, guys. In Chicago, Illinois. I think Mercyhurst is okay. We've taken the Lakers a couple times this season. We took them to cover at UCF earlier in the year. They were plus 29.5 point dogs. They lost by, they're plus 28.5 point dogs. They lost by 28. We picked them, I believe, before an NEC play as well. We've rode with the Lakers a couple times here. We're going to take them again. Give me the Mercyhurst Lakers and Jeff Plantis and our guy in Blunt. We're talking about Bernie Blunt to win this game on the road at Chicago State. I think they get it. You can take the spread, but I just take the money line here, minus 125. I feel okay playing the Mercyhurst Lakers on the road in Chicago. Let's move on to our third best bet of the video. Same odds, same situation, just flip the teams on the road and at home. We're taking the Campbell Fighting Camels at home against the Elon Phoenix. I think it's a good spot for Campbell. Again, the CAA is so confusing. It just is. It's a really odd conference. And the CAA tournament is one that I'm probably not going to bet on, but I'm going to watch and have fun watching it. Townsend, Charleston, UNC Wilmington, William & Mary, Campbell, Elon, Monmouth. There are some fun teams in this conference. Hell, Hampton will give you games. I know they're at the bottom, but then you get like Drexel, the Dragons, right? I mean, there are fun teams in the CAA. But if I've learned anything about CAA basketball, is that the team at home usually wins. And a spot like this, where you get 2 very similar teams, the team at home probably gets it done. But I think right now, Campbell's the better basketball team. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned, or that's not concerned. I was a little bit confused about these odds. Kind of like the last game where we had Mercyhurst. I think Campbell should be a bigger favorite in this, but we're going to take it. Minus 125 for the Campbell Camels. I'm not going to complain. Obviously, we're going to take it. Minus 1.5, just take the money line, minus 125. They're the hotter team right now. The Fighting Camels, guys, have won 5 straight games. They beat Monmouth. They go on the road, back-to-back games, beat Stony Brook, beat Hofstra, which, again, I don't care how bad those teams are. Stony Brook being absolutely atrocious. Hofstra, a middle-of-the-pack team. But, again, it's hard to go on the road in the CAA. Just ask, again, any team that's gone to UNC Wilmington this year. It is tough to go on the road in this conference and win. They beat William & Mary at home. Again, William & Mary goes into Campbell. They were the number 1 team in the conference. They go to Campbell. Campbell beats them by 41 points. We were wrong. Campbell's next game, they go to Hofstra, beat the Hofstra. What the hell is Hofstra? The Bison? Is Hofstra the Bison? I think. They're the Pride, I forget. I forgot, my fault. They beat Hofstra by 23 points. Campbell's good. And going to Campbell has actually been tough. Going to Bowie's Creek has been very difficult. They have guys who can score. They've been playing great defense recently, limiting both their last opponents to 50 points. You look at Colby Duggan. He's been great. Jason Ciani has been really good too. And their forward, who's been really holding it down recently, has been, it's been Eric Van der Heijen, who has been playing more, I believe, with injuries, but he's been playing the last couple games, and he's been great for the Campbell Fighting Camels. Again, this is a team that is on fire right now. They're playing with all the momentum in the world. They just hosted William & Mary, who are the top team in the conference, and they blew them out by 40. So now Elon's coming into town. The Phoenix, they've lost 2 out of the last 3 games. Losses at home to Charleston, Hofstra, and then a home win over Northeastern. Not like Northeastern is the toughest team to deal with, but when this team's gone on the road this season, they haven't been all that impressive. They go to Delaware and lose. They went to Drexel and won, They go to William & Mary and win that game. NCAB is atrocious. They're 0-10. That's the one spot in the conference that you're not scared of going to. That's North Carolina A&T. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Elon beat Campbell earlier in the year. That's fine. That's when Elon was at their best, though. Elon early in the year, like when they were, making that transition, obviously, from the non-conference schedule to the conference schedule, they were playing great basketball. They beat UNC Greensboro at home. They beat Marshall. They, obviously beat NCAB. They beat Hampton. They were on fire, and they beat Campbell as well. That's okay. Campbell's a much different team than when they played Elon the first time around. This is a team playing with momentum. They've won 5 in a row. And the game's now at Bowie's Creek, North Carolina as well. I like the Fighting Camels here. Elon led by Nick Dorn, who's averaging 15 points a game. TJ Simpkins going to give you 15 as well. Sam Sherry, TJ Simpkins as well. Sorry, TK Simpkins as well. Imagine naming your kids TJ and TK. It's insane. Anyways, they've got players who can score, I'm not going to lie, but Campbell's been playing stifling defense recently. They've been shutting teams down again, holding their last 2 opponents to combined 107 points, and one of those teams was the top team in their conference. Again, it is tough to go into North Carolina and beat this team. We're taking Colby Duggan and the Campbell Fighting Camels to continue their momentum with a home victory here in the CAA against the Elon Phoenix. Let's move on to our 4th game of the video, and we move to the Summit League. You thought I was going to talk about South Dakota State? Nope. We're going to talk about the team that the Jacks just lost to. I don't know how they lost to the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. I don't know. And South Dakota State, they'll probably beat St. Thomas today. I'm going to stay away from that one. This is the better game for me, I think, to pick in the Summit today, and that's the Omaha Mavericks at home against the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Omaha is 8-1 this year in the Summit League, with their only loss being on the road to South Dakota. It's a recent game. They lost to the Coyotes, by 4 points on the road. No one's gone, though, into Omaha, Nebraska and beat the Mavericks yet in conference play. Nobody's done it, right? Many teams have tried. Kansas City came in here. Omaha beat the Roos by 19. They beat the Jacks by 7. They beat St. Thomas, Minnesota by 11. Denver comes into town, they beat them by 9. So not only has Omaha won all of these games played in Nebraska, they have covered this line that we get against North Dakota. And I get it. We've talked about North Dakota quite a bit this season. Oh, by the way, Omaha beat North Dakota in Grand Forks earlier this season by 10 points. We've talked about the Fighting Hawks a little bit. Obviously, they had that big matchup against Alabama earlier in the year. They had those 2 games against UTSA and Utah Valley. So we're somewhat familiar, obviously, with the Fighting Hawks if you were watching the channel for non-conference play this season. And they were very competitive on CBS earlier in the year against Alabama. They covered that line. Remember, we picked North Dakota to cover that game. We talked about it was the biggest day in Grand Forks, North Dakota history. Kind of felt like that, honestly. But what has North Dakota done recently? Yes, a victory over South Dakota State is great, but again, the same point I make about Chicago State is going to be the same point I'm going to make right now about North Dakota. North Dakota is getting respect because they just hosted the Jackrabbits and beat them. They got to go on the road. They got to go down in Nebraska against the best team arguably in the conference right now. I'd say it's the best team. I'd rank them over St. Thomas, Minnesota, obviously because the Mavericks have a victory over the Tommies. And after tonight, I'd expect the Mavericks to be in sole possession of first place after South Dakota State likely does beat St. Thomas, Minnesota. Do they cover 4.5 points, 5.5 points? I'd stay away. Anyways, North Dakota, they've got Trey Eaglestaff, who has been really good for them this season. Obviously, he made a statement in the Alabama game. I believe it was, 30-plus points in that one against Bama. He's their most consistent guy. He's a junior from Bismarck, North Dakota. I think Eaglestaff is going to get an opportunity to play a lot of places next year in the Big Ten. I hope he makes the right decision for a team that he can start and play big minutes on next year. And I hope he just doesn't become a guy like, I'm not comparing him at all to AJ Storr, but I hope he doesn't become AJ Storr, transfer, you're the star on your team, and then you go to Kansas and you play 11 minutes a night and you average 3 points a game. Just don't do that. I'll be honest with you. That's just nothing against AJ Storr. I feel like he's just the example of what not to do. And again, took a chance on himself. Unfortunately, it did not pay off. But North Dakota, they've got a guy who can score. Trayson Eaglestaff's been great all season long for them, obviously. Mir Ponam, who's been really good for them, too. I believe, their point guard. He's averaging 14. They've got some players, but Omaha has just been better all year long. Markel Sutton might be the player of the year this year in the Summit League. This is the guy who's averaging 17.5 and 7.5. He's been great for them this season. JJ White's been good. Tony Osborne, Lance Waddles. There are some good players on Omaha, but yes, Markel Sutton might be the player of the year this year in the Summit League. You might want to give it to Oscar Clough. I wouldn't mind that, obviously. The former Wazoo player from Australia, now playing at South Dakota State. Clough's been great all year long, but Sutton's got his team in first place, and this is a guy who scored 20 plus in his last 4 games. Sutton scored 24 for St. Thomas, Minnesota, 21 in the victory over Oral Roberts on the road. In the loss at South Dakota, they lose by 29. Sorry, he scores 29, lost by 4. And then in their win over Denver, Sutton scores 22 points. This might be the best player in the Summit League, and I'm not going to argue if you say he's the number 1 player in the league. Omaha's a 5.5 point favorite in this game. I do think they cover it. Again, they beat this North Dakota team earlier in the year in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and they win the game by 10. You get the rematch here. Omaha's still hot. I know they lost a couple of games to go to South Dakota, but that's a game on the road. Nobody's gone to Omaha this year and beat them, and I don't think North Dakota is the first. And at the same time, not only has nobody beat Omaha, Nebraska in Nebraska, nobody's covered 5.5 points against them as well. So I think the Mavericks get it done. I'm going to take Omaha to win this basketball game and cover the 5.5 points. Right now, they feel like the best team in the Summit League. I think, again, things will change once we get to the Summit League tournament, because the teams that have been great in the Summit League tournament for years, like the Bison and like the Jackrabbits, I think they're going to have a big tournament. And I think, again, potentially we're looking, again, I'm going to give a quick deep dive into Summit League basketball for a minute. You're probably going to get Omaha's the 1 seed. St. Thomas, Minnesota is probably going to be the 2. South Dakota State's probably going to be the 3. North Dakota State's going to be the 4. Guys, I'm just telling you right now, St. Thomas, Minnesota and the 2 against South Dakota State, they'll probably lose that game. I'm pretty sure they're still playing the tournament in Sioux Falls. They're probably going to lose to South Dakota in Sioux Falls, and Omaha's going to be cut out for it in that neutral site game, obviously a tournament environment against North Dakota State. I'm just saying, as long as SDSU and NDSU are the 3 and 4, they are going to give the top dogs this year in St. Thomas, Minnesota and Omaha some troubles. I feel really good about South Dakota pulling off that 2-3 upset. I don't know if North Dakota State's going to be able to beat Omaha, but they're going to have a really good chance to do so. So I'm just saying, we'll get to the Summit League tournament, obviously, in all these conference tournaments later in the year in about a month and a half. About a month. But we'll see. I'm just warning you right now. I think we could see some upsets in the Summit League tournament. Just as I've followed the Summit League for the last 10 seasons, I don't know. Things could get tricky. Anyways, let's move on to the final game of the day. Yeah, we're going to the Big West. Again, I didn't promise you great basketball today, so if you're watching these games, if you're making the bets, don't expect the highest level of basketball being played. I'm not going to lie. We're taking the UC Davis Aggies on the road at Long Beach State. I know. I didn't think I was going to be picking the UC Davis Aggies all year long. I didn't think so. But here we are. I'm going to take UC Davis on the road here at Long Beach State. This is more me picking against Long Beach State than me picking UC Davis, but I will give you the rationale on Davis in a little bit. Long Beach State has been atrocious. They were the team, obviously, that finally, broke the long losing streak of Cal Poly, and obviously Cal Poly ended up winning back-to-back games in the Big West. I considered taking the Rainbow Warriors at Cal Poly today, but I don't trust I don't trust Hawaii to go on the road and beat anybody, so I'm going to stay away from that game in San Luis Obispo. Instead, we're going to Davis and Long Beach State. Long Beach State's been atrocious. They are a one-man crew. It's Devin Askew. This team is all Devin Askew, and that's it. TJ Wainwright, he'll contribute. Wainwright will have his games, I'm not going to lie. But when Wainwright's scoring 3 points like he did in their last game against UCSB, yeah, it's just not going to cut it. Now, I feel like Long Beach State put everything they had into the rest of the season to that one game where they hosted UCI on January 30th. They take Irvine into overtime, and sure, Irvine sometimes plays some really close games. They take UCI into overtime, and they lose by 5. Now, I still think UCI is a team that should get a at-large bid if they somehow do not win the Big West tournament, say UCSD or even, that cesspool UC Riverside upset them. And by the way, those two teams are playing today. I actually don't mind the cesspool today. Not gonna lie. I think the cesspool actually has a chance to go to UCSD and cover. Again, Burlington Hargress, baller. Rest of the place, cesspool. Anyways, again, Long Beach played UCI really tough, but that to me felt like, all right, that's their Super Bowl. That's Long Beach State's Super Bowl this year. Obviously, they did win the Big West tournament last year. There's going to be no magic this year, obviously. This team is 3-8 in the Big West. Their only record's better than Cal State Fullerton and Cal Poly. By the way, the Cal State Fullerton Titans will be in MLB The Show this year. There's only 8 colleges that are going to be in that video game. Cal State Fullerton is one of them. I was so shocked when I watched that trailer and I saw Titans on the home run fence. And I just immediately, I was like, why the hell is Cal State Fullerton in a game with Tennessee, Texas, and TCU and UCLA? I was very shocked. Who the hell at Sony Studio San Diego is from Cal State Fullerton? That's all I want to know. Regardless, what I'm getting to is Long Beach State's not very good. They're a one-man show. Askew does do a lot for them. I'm not going to deny that. Once you get past Askew, my goodness, it's rough. Now for UCD, all right, I'm not going to try to sell you guys on how great UC Davis is. I'm not going to lie. Guys, if we're going to win this bet, which I'm hoping we're going to, obviously, we've had a lot of very positive days recently. I think we've been positive the last at least 4 days here on the channel, probably 5 actually. If we're going to win this game, which I hope we do, it's going to be because Long Beach State just lays an egg, okay? Like, I wouldn't expect UC Davis to blow your socks off here. Now, Ty Johnson's impressive. I'll give you Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson's a really good basketball player. He averages 33 minutes a night. He averages 22 points a night. He's their senior guard out of Chicago, from Chicago, obviously. He's been with Davis, last 3 seasons, started his career at Loyola Chicago, never really played there, came to Davis, which don't even get me started. We call UCR a cesspool because it is. It absolutely is. Now, Davis isn't a cesspool. It just smells like cow shit. Like, I don't know if you guys ever been to UC Davis, just, you're in for a treat. The first time I ever went to UC Davis, I went to a UC Davis football game. Oh my God, there are literal cows next to the football stadium. I remember getting there, I was like, why does it smell like cow shit? Oh, because there's actual cows here. Anyways, my quick tangent about UC Davis. Ty Johnson is really impressive. I'll give you that. Other than Ty Johnson, you get Pablo Tamba, who averages 11. Connor Sylvia averages 10. The team's not all that impressive, but they are better than Long Beach State. Against a Long Beach State team, again, that has not won a basketball game since January 11th, where, yes, they did happen to go to UC Davis. But I think Davis has been playing better basketball since. I think, again, coming off that loss against Long Beach State, they ended up winning 3 in a row after. They beat Cal Poly on the road. They go to UCSB and win. They beat Hawaii at home. They have turned a page since that initial loss to Long Beach State. I think they're going to be okay in this spot. They've lost back-to-back games, but I'm going to be honest, they go on the road to UCR, only lose to that cesspool by 2 points. That's impressive, the way UCR is playing right now. They go to Irvine, only lose by 7 to a team that, again, is potentially a 10-9 seed in the NCAA tournament this season. That's not a bad loss. They've been playing better basketball, and for Long Beach State, I think, again, they put everything they had into trying to beat UCI. Their next game against UC Santa Barbara, they lose 85-54. They're a one-man show. It's all Devin Askew. Askew popped off in the first game at Davis. He scored 32 points. He's going to need that and much more to beat them again. I don't think it happens. I think Davis is ready this time, and I think the UC Davis Aggies go on the road to Long Beach, California, and they beat Long Beach State. They beat the beach of Long Beach State, and they cover the 3.5 points as well. So it's going to be the UC Davis Aggies here in our nightcap for our daily best bets here for Thursday, February 6th. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back in a couple hours for our NBA predictions, and then obviously tomorrow we'll be back for more college basketball best bets. Let's stay hot. Let's keep going on this winning streak. Let's keep it moving, folks. Thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.